August 16th, 1977, Memphis, Tennessee, early afternoon. A woman walks down a hallway in a house called Graceland. She calls his name. No answer. She pushes open a door, and the room fell silent. He was 42 years old, the most famous man in the world, and he was completely alone. Now here is what the official story never told you. In the final 2 years of his life, doctors issued him 14,000 tablets. 14,000? 10 different substances every single day. Not one doctor stopped. Not one person in his circle said enough. Because the man who controlled Elvis Presley needed him on that stage, no matter what it cost. His name was Colonel Tom Parker, and he was not a colonel. He was not even American. He was a man with no passport, no license, and no right to manage anyone. But he owned Elvis completely for over 20 years. And when Elvis tried to walk away, he couldn't. This is not a story about music. This is a story about control, about the people who surround a man and slowly take everything. Stay with us. Because what happened inside Graceland was never just an accident. Before we examine what happened in those final years, we need to understand where Elvis came from and why that made him so easy to control. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on January 8th, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi, a small town, a poor family, a twin brother who did not survive. His mother Gladys was the center of his entire world. He never fully recovered from losing her in 1958. People who knew Elvis closely said the same thing again and again. He was generous to a fault. He could not say no. He trusted people completely, and he never stopped needing to be loved. These are not weaknesses in an ordinary life, but in the hands of the wrong people, they become something else entirely. In 1955, a man named Thomas Andrew Parker entered Elvis Presley's life. He called himself Colonel Tom Parker. He was not a colonel. He had never served in any military. The title was honorary, granted by the governor of Louisiana as a courtesy, but Parker used it like armor. And behind that armor was a secret he carried for his entire life. Parker was not American. His real name was Andreas Cornelis van Quake. He was born in Breda in the Netherlands. In 1909, he had entered the United States without documentation sometime in the late 1920s. He had no passport, no citizenship paper, no legal right to be the manager of one of the most famous human beings on the planet. And because of this, Elvis Presley never performed outside the United States. Not once. Not in Europe, not in Asia, not in Australia, not in the United Kingdom where millions of fans waited for decades. Because if Elvis toured internationally, Parker would have had to apply for a passport, and a passport application would have exposed everything. So Parker said no, every time, for over 20 years. And Elvis trusted him. In 1956, Parker negotiated a management contract with Elvis. The standard industry rate for a manager at that time was between 15 and 20% of earnings. Parker took 50%. Every record, every film, every concert, every endorsement. Half of everything Elvis ever earned went to one man. Over the course of their arrangement, Elvis generated hundreds of millions of dollars. Parker's share was extraordinary. But the money was only part of the arrangement. Parker controlled everything. Which films Elvis made, which songs he recorded, which interviews he gave, which people were allowed near him. In the mid-1960s, Elvis began to feel the weight of this. He wanted to make serious films. Parker steered him toward lightweight musical comedies that required no real investment and returned guaranteed profit. He wanted to tour the world. Parker kept him in Las Vegas. He wanted to grow as an artist. Parker needed him to stay exactly as he was. And when Elvis quietly approached lawyers about the possibility of ending the arrangement, Parker made it very clear. The financial entanglement between them was so deep, so deliberately complicated, that walking away would have cost Elvis almost everything he had built. He stayed. In 1969, Parker negotiated a residency deal for Elvis at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. On the surface, it looked like a triumph. Elvis returned to live performance after years away. The shows were extraordinary. The reviews were remarkable. But look at the details of the arrangement. Elvis performed 2 shows a night, 6 nights a week, for 4 weeks at a time, twice a year, every year. The hotel paid a fixed fee regardless of how many people attended. As Elvis became the most sought-after live performer in the world, the fee did not increase proportionally. Parker had negotiated a deal that benefited the hotel far more than it benefited his client. Why would a manager do this? Investigators who examined the arrangement years later discovered that Parker had a significant personal relationship with the hotel's casino. He was a compulsive gambler, and the hotel extended him extraordinary credit at the tables. Elvis performed to pay for Parker's gambling. By 1975, those who were close to Elvis could see something was deeply wrong. He was exhausted. He was in physical discomfort that he rarely spoke about publicly. He was struggling, and yet the touring schedule continued. In the final 2.5 years of his life, physicians connected to his circle issued him more than 14,000 doses of various substances, painkillers, sedatives, stimulants to perform, more sedatives to rest afterward, a cycle that had no end. Dr. George Nicopolis, his personal physician, was later investigated and faced serious professional consequences over the prescriptions issued during this period. The people around Elvis were not unaware of his condition. They saw it every night on that stage. But the shows continued. Because canceling shows meant losing money. And losing money was the one thing Parker could not allow. In the final months, friends who spoke with Elvis privately said he seemed distant, exhausted in a way that sleep could not fix. He spoke about Graceland as if it were a place he was trapped inside rather than a home. He called people in the middle of the night just to hear a voice, just to feel less alone. August 16th, 1977. The news reached every corner of the world within hours. Flags were placed at Graceland. Flowers covered the gates. Thousands of people gathered in silence outside the walls of his home. Parker's response to the news was noted by several people present. He immediately began making arrangements, not for the memorial, for the merchandising. Within days, he had negotiated deals to continue profiting from Elvis Presley's name and image. The arrangement did not end with Elvis. It simply continued in a different form. Tom Parker passed from this world in 1997. He never publicly addressed the question of his true identity. He never explained the passport. He never accounted for the decades of financial arrangements that investigators would later describe as deeply one-sided. He left no confession, only silence. Elvis Presley rests at Graceland, in the meditation garden behind the house where he was found. Every single day, thousands of people visit. They stand quietly at the simple stone, and they think about a young man from Tupelo, Mississippi, who wanted nothing more than to sing and somehow ended up completely surrounded by people who needed something from him. Every single one of them. The truth about what happened to Elvis Presley is not hidden in classified files. It is not sealed in a government archive. It is sitting in plain sight, in the contracts, in the prescription records, in the testimonies of the people who were there. The truth about Elvis is simply this: he was the most famous man in the world. He was generous beyond measure. He trusted the wrong people, and not one of them ever truly put him first.